Welcome back, class 8, to the online bio classes. We had already started chapter 3, ecosystem. And the definition of ecosystem already I had given. Ecosystem is a relationship between living organisms with their non-living environment, the way living organisms interact with other living organisms as well as their non-living environment. Then we studied the two components of ecosystem, that is, the living parts of the ecosystem are called biotic components, non-living parts are known as abiotic components. Today we are going to start food chain and food web. You know what is food chain? In lower classes in science book you have read that grass, which is the producer, where food is made by photosynthesis, are eaten by herbivores like a deer or a cow or a goat, and the goat is eaten by a tiger. So one organism is eaten by the other. Why? In order to get energy in the form of food. So transfer of energy, I will write the definition. Transfer of energy in the form of food when one organism is eaten by others. So transfer of energy, what is food chain? Food chain is a chain in which many organisms are linked to each other. Like a simple food chain example I am saying, a grass eaten by goat or any grass eating animal, and the goat eaten by tiger. So this one shows a simple food chain in which one organism is eaten by the other organism. Like goat is eaten by tiger and grass is eaten by goat. So here during this process energy is transferred. Whatever energy was there in the grass, it came to the goat, and from this goat that energy was transferred to the tiger. But we find sometimes one organism is eaten by more than one animal. Like one example you can take, an insect can be eaten by a frog. The same insect can be eaten by some other insects and animals. It means all the food chains are interconnected to form a web-like structure. Like the same goat can be eaten by man also. So we can write like this: man. The goat can be eaten by lion also. So one organism is eaten by more than one. Understood? So in this way we find that all the simple food chains are interconnected to form a web-like structure which is known as food web. So if you have to write the definition of food web, you write interconnected network of food chain. Interconnected network of food chains is called a food web. Okay. In your book, the diagram of food web is shown on page number 57, figure 3.6. You can draw it in your copy as homework. And some food chains are also there, like corn eaten by rat, rat is eaten by owl. Similarly, the carrots eaten by rabbit, and the rabbit is eaten by fox, and fox is eaten by lion. So this one also shows a food chain. Okay, now next we have what is pyramid of number. Just now we studied about the food chain and the food web. Now what is the meaning of pyramid of numbers? Pyramid means a graphical representation like this in the form of a pyramid. Triangle, you know, in mathematics, triangle, in which we put all the different organisms at different levels. Okay, so here I am putting the first level, that is the producers. All the green plants which make their own food by photosynthesis, they are in maximum or the largest number. So they form the base of the pyramid. This one, the base of the pyramid, is formed by producers. That is all the green plants. Then the producers are eaten by herbivores. So we write the primary consumers, that is herbivores, primary consumers, then we have secondary consumers, then we have tertiary consumers, then at last we have the top consumers or tertiary consumers. Okay, this one is the last one, tertiary consumers or the top consumers. So you find that different organisms are placed at different steps of pyramid. So in the producers, which forms the maximum number of organisms, it means if we count the number of plants which prepare their food by photosynthesis, that is the maximum in environment or in the surroundings. So that's why they form the base of the pyramid. Their number is maximum. These are eaten by primary consumers, that is the herbivores. So if you count the number of herbivores, that is those animals which feed on grass or the plants, their number will be less than that of producers. Similarly, when you count the number of secondary consumers, that is the carnivores which feed on the herbivores, their population will be less than that of primary consumers. And when you count the tertiary consumers, that is the last one in which the owl is there, they account for only 0.1% of the total population, means less than 1% of the tertiary consumers are present in the pyramid of number. So what we find, that the number of individuals keep on decreasing as we go higher up in the pyramid. Means the number of individuals in the producer level, the lowest level, is the maximum, whereas the number of living organisms at the tip or at the apex of the pyramid is the least, that is 0.1%. Here it is 100% at the base in the producers. So when you go to the primary consumer level, in your book it is given only 10% is there. After that, again 10% of that one, that is only 1% is there in the secondary consumers, and finally 10% of 1%, that is 0.1% only. So here this one I will say what is the meaning of this. It is known as pyramid of energy. But first, pyramid of number. How to define that pyramid of number? I will rub it. Pyramid of number is a graphical representation of keeping the organisms at different levels in the form of a pyramid. In your book the definition is also given nicely. Representation of number of producers and consumers in a food chain. So what is pyramid of number? Pyramid of number is the representation of producers and all these other consumers only. The representation means how we plot the producers and consumers in a food chain is called pyramid of number. Okay, so it is a representation of producers and consumers in a food chain. So what do we find in a pyramid of number? There are different types of pyramid. Pyramid of number says that the number of organisms are maximum at the producer level. They keep on decreasing as we go higher up in the pyramid. Okay. Now next one is energy flow in the ecosystem. This very important concept, energy flow in ecosystem. You know what is energy? Energy flow in ecosystem. Energy is defined as the capacity to do work. In physics we have studied. In biology also, energy, from where do we get energy to do all our activities? Like in order to talk, I need energy. To teach, you need energy to listen, to understand, to walk, to run. So for each and every activities we need energy, and that energy comes from the food which we eat, because food contains energy, and the food is produced by the green plants by the process of photosynthesis, and the green plants get that energy from sunlight. So I will show you this diagram. Sunlight or the sun is the ultimate source of energy. From here the sunlight, it falls on the green plants, so they are the producers. Green plants are called the producers. they will take the 100% of sunlight which falls on the producers, 100% of energy is transferred to them, okay, because the entire sunlight falls on the green plants. Now when these producers are eaten by herbivores, that is the primary consumers, when the primary consumers feed on the green plants, out of this 100% of energy, 90% energy is used by the green plants for their growth, for their development, for their germination process, to carry out the day-to-day activities like transpiration, respiration and all. But only 10% energy is stored inside them. Means this much energy is only the one which is stored energy. Remaining 90% energy is lost in the form of heat, or it is used up by the plants for carrying out their daily activities. So when primary consumers feed on the producers, they get only this 10% of the energy is transferred. So I have written here, producers 100, then 10% energy there in the primary consumers. In secondary consumers, again in the same way, when the primary consumers, that is herbivores, they are eaten by the carnivores, that is secondary consumers, only 10% of this energy, like remaining 90% energy, they will use for their growth, for respiration, for excretion and all those process. Only 10% energy is stored inside them. So 10% of this 10, that is 1% of the energy is transferred. Similarly, when these secondary consumers are eaten by the tertiary consumers, 10% of 1, that is 1 by 10, that is equal to 0.1% of the energy is only there with the tertiary consumers. Means as we go higher up in the pyramid, the energy decreases, okay, when energy is transferred. And finally we find that there is no energy left to be transferred from one place to the other, okay. So you can draw this diagram as homework. Now next, interdependence between organisms. The next topic we have to do, I'll clear it up. Okay, so next topic which we are going to do is interdependence between organisms. You know that all the organisms in this world, they cannot remain alone or in isolation. They need to depend on others for their food or shelter or for some other purpose. So this relationship between two organisms will be studied here. Like first example is symbiosis. You have studied about it in lower classes also. Example also I will say what is symbiosis. Definition I will say first. It's already there in a book, so I will not write. I will just say and give the example. Symbiosis is a relationship, mutual relationship between two organisms in which both of them are equally benefited. Means two organisms live together and both of them get benefit. None of them is harmed. Okay. Now example of symbiosis is the rhizobium bacteria, which is found. Rhizobium is the name of a bacteria which helps to convert the atmospheric nitrogen, that is the nitrogen which is present in the air, gaseous form, is converted into nitrates with the help of this bacteria called rhizobium, and it is found in the root nodules. Root nodules means the swellings, nodules of leguminous plants like pea, okay, gram, all those plants which produces pulses, dal we say, no? So in their roots, the roots will have swellings like this, and within these nodules, this bacteria will be found, rhizobium bacteria. So function of this bacteria is, it will provide nitrates, that is, change the nitrogen into nitrates, which is a soluble form of nitrogen, so that the plants can take this nitrogen and use it for growth. Then what is the benefit this bacteria is getting? It gets shelter in the roots of the plant. So bacteria is getting the shelter, and in turn it is providing benefit to the plant by converting atmospheric nitrogenous gas, that is nitrogen gas, into soluble nitrates, which can be taken through the roots of the plants along with the water. Okay, because this nitrate is the mineral which is required for the growth of plants. Now next we have Parasitism, second one. First one you have understood, symbiosis. What is parasite? Parasites are those living organisms which remain on the body of some other organisms and provide harm to them. They do not do any beneficial activity. They are only harmful for them. So in parasitism there are two organisms. One is host. Host means that living organism in which the parasite will live and it will provide harm to it. They are called the host. And the guest or the parasite is that organism which is benefited, is called parasite. Parasite is the organism which is benefited. For example, if I say that tapeworm is a parasite which lives in our intestine, because when we eat improperly cooked food, particularly the pork and all, there are two hosts of this parasite. Tapeworm lives in two places, either in the intestine of human beings or the pigs. So host is the pigs or human beings. Means in those two places they can live. So it gives harm to them, it will not provide any benefit to them. So parasitism is a relationship in which one organism is benefited, the other one is harmed. Okay, in simple words you can write. Now example also I have given. Then third one is predation. Predation means a type of relationship between two organisms in which one is eaten and the other one eats. For example, tiger is a predator. Predator means that organism which feed on others, and it will suppose feed on goat. The tiger will eat the goat, so goat is the prey. So what is prey? Prey is the organism which is eaten by some other predators. Like goat is eaten by tiger. So here tiger becomes the predator and goat remains the prey. So here what you will find in predation, one is benefited and the other one is harmed. Goat has no benefit because it is being eaten away, it will die. But this one will get energy by eating that goat. Understood? Now next we have an example of predator-prey relationship. Already I said tiger and deer is there in your book. Now next we have abiotic components of the environment. Abiotic means the non-living components or parts of the environment is called abiotic components. How they are beneficial to us, what are the benefits we get from them. In your book one diagram is there, figure 3.10. Some abiotic components, you can draw it as your homework. If you want, you can color it as it is shown nicely in the color. Physical components. Air is the first abiotic component, air. You know that air is a mixture of gases. And what is wind? When the air will blow from one place to the other, the blowing air is called, moving air is called wind. That's simplest definition. And wind is beneficial for us because it helps in the transfer of pollen grains, as well as it will carry the seeds and fruits from one place to the other. Now this air is a mixture of gases, I said just now. It contains oxygen and carbon dioxide. Oxygen is required because we need to produce energy by respiration. So we breathe in air containing a mixture of gases, out of which oxygen is used to burn glucose after digestion to produce energy. That is for respiration. Similarly, plants also need oxygen for respiration and they need carbon dioxide to make food during photosynthesis. Okay. Now next one is water. Water is an important abiotic component. It is beneficial for all the living organisms. You know that without water living things will not survive. In our body also 70% water is there. And what are the benefits of water? Number one, it is required for germination of seeds as well as for the germination of plants. To grow the plants you need water. Without water plants cannot grow. Water is also needed for digestion of food, because if you want to digest your food you need to drink water after taking the food. Water is also needed to maintain our body temperature. water is required to help in cooling the atmosphere, because the rain water will help in the it will help in the water cycle, so that water cycle can be maintained. Water is also needed by the plants to absorb the minerals from the soil along with the water which is present in the soil. Water is also needed or necessary requirement for all the human use, like we need water in our daily use, starting from bathing, for brushing your teeth, for washing your clothes. So for all the domestic use, that is the uses of water which are there at home. Apart from that, we have the industrial use. In the factory also we need water for doing all the manufacturing jobs. Then water is also necessary for excretion, for circulation. It is needed by the plants to make food. Even we also need water for cooking our food. So next we have soil. Soil is also an important abiotic component. What are the benefits of soil? Number one, it is the habitat or the home of many burrowing animals which lives inside the soil. Number two, soil is the place where plants can grow or the roots are fixed in the soil. Number three, soil is the one in which we construct, that is make our houses, buildings, roads. Without soil, where will we make? We cannot make in water, isn't it? Now next is, soil is the dwelling place. All the terrestrial plants, that is the plants which grow on land, they are fixed to the soil, and soil provides water and nutrients for the growth of plants. Soil also contains humus as well as minerals, and it is the size of soil particles which determine the different types of soil. You know that different types of soil are there, and plants grow in different types of plants grow in different types of soil. Like black soil is good or suitable for the growth of cotton. Similarly, you can find that the soil which is found in a mountainous region is different from the soil of desert region. Then we have temperature. Temperature is one of the important factors that helps to determine what type of plants or animals will be found in which part of the earth. For example, the polar regions, that is North and South Pole, always remains covered with snow and ice with a very low temperature. So the animals which can survive in such places are the polar bears, and the plants which can grow there will be also adapted to grow in such a cold place. Siberian cranes. Siberia is a place which remains covered with snow, so for most of the time of the year. So due to a scarcity of food, in order to survive, crane is the name of a bird which migrate from the very cold Siberian place, and they come to India also and other Asian countries just to survive those extreme climatic conditions, that is decrease in temperature and scarcity of food. So to avoid extreme cold conditions, polar bears, the rodents, lizards and the snakes, two words are there, hibernation and estivation. So some animals like the snakes, frogs, in order to avoid very cold temperature, they will store food inside their body and they will go for a long winter sleep, which is known as hibernation. So winter sleep is called hibernation. Similarly, if it is temperature is very high, in order to avoid those extreme temperatures, some animals like snails and frogs, they can go for a long summer sleep also. So summer sleep in which they become inactive is called estivation. So what is the difference between estivation and hibernation? Estivation means summer sleep and hibernation means winter sleep. Okay, long winter sleep is called hibernation and long summer sleep is called estivation. Got it? Now next topic we have is humidity. Humidity, you know, is the amount of moisture present in the air. So if the air contains plenty of water vapor, it becomes humid, and humidity is good, like high level of humidity conditions, it will favor the growth of fungus and bacteria which will enable decomposition process to occur. Means if humidity is high, the rate of decomposition by bacteria and fungi will also increase. And a higher level of water vapor in the atmosphere, it will help to create or help in the formation of clouds by the process of condensation of water vapor that will bring about rain, and that rainwater will be used up in the rain water cycle. Then we have the sunlight. Sunlight is needed by the plants to make their food during photosynthesis. Sunlight is also the source of energy, and you know that the plant's stem will bend towards sunlight. They will grow towards sunlight. This type of movement of plant parts towards the sunlight is called phototropic movement. And the last one, most animals are active in the daytime. They are called diurnal animals. And the animals which remain active only at night, like tigers and all, they will sleep in the daytime. They are called nocturnal animals. Okay? So today this much only. In the next class we can study about the forest ecosystem, and then the chapter will be complete. So as for today's homework, you can draw the diagrams which I gave and try for the in-text question which is given on page number 58, that correct the false statements by changing the underlined words. Okay? And after watching the video, write your names in the comments and like. Okay? Thank you.